So, what do you do on a cold winter night in Washington, D.C.? You stay in your media room and make a video about climate. How about that? That's what I'm doing. Okay, so welcome to my media room. It's also my dancing room. Well, not tonight. I'm playing around with my computer, my Apple computer that my son was so kind to set me up here with, and I was making a video. Well, actually, I'm doing a PowerPoint presentation to support the book that I published on my late father's behalf in 2010 called True Planetary Motions and Rhythmic Climatic Changes. A most timely publication because what is happening today, what is happening outside on the east coast of North America and primarily all over the country with sub-zero temperatures and temperatures so bone-chilling that the global warmers are going to be shivering in their boots along with everyone else, keeping it real, I decided I have to, in this most timely opportunity, present this idea to the world. And of course, I've had the book for 4 years. I've sat on the book for 4 years, and I didn't really push it because, again, it wasn't about making money. This book was a legacy to my late father's works for 30 years. He presented an idea that was revolutionary in terms of that the sun has everything to do with climate reversals and long-term climate change, particularly over millennia. And the global warmists, alarmists, with all their political agendas, and it makes me a little hard-headed because it's such a suppression of the third world countries, and that's another long story, and prohibiting them from using fossil fuels and going on to nuclear power, that stuff they can't even afford, like solar energy. But like I said, that's not my focus. My focus is to bring to the world the true concept of long-term climatic changes that are the real driving force in the Milky Way galaxy where we happen to be placed at the moment. We are on Earth, and Earth is being affected cyclically, approximately every 25,000 years, not so much different to the Mayan calendar in terms of a cycle of renewal. And for 6,000 years, man has had not a record prior to that other than hieroglyphics and, of course, historical accounts of civilizations long before us. But right now, what's timely and what's really important is that we topple the big lie of global warming, which has everything to do with politics and money and the driving force to scientists who are all in the bandwagon getting funding for this thing, and people like me and my dad who unfortunately did not live long enough to really have this concept and his projections and his discovery on long-term climatic changes and the vital importance to man's survival in this millennia and in the coming millennia, primarily because by the year 3000 his projections dictate and forecast, as no one has never been able to do before, that we will be in a full-blown ice age, totally adverse to what the global warmers are trying, or the alarmists are trying to get the population to believe, again driven by political and greed purposes. But I'm not a politician, but everything, and someone asked me today, you seem very wise, why do you seem to get involved in politics? I said, my brother, everything we do, unfortunately, whether you like it or not, is affected by politics. But again, not being my focus, I'm not a trained scientist. My father's book was sitting for 15 years in a manuscript, getting dusty, and none of his children, I'm the last of 6 girls, was interested. And I was very keenly interested, ever since I was very young, in his ideas, very advanced and very revolutionary, and we talked and reasoned quite a bit on a lot of things from anthropology, geology, etc., and mostly on astronomy and cosmology. So I took up the book, the manuscript actually, and I decided I have to publish this in my lifetime because I hate that the mankind will just not benefit from this valuable knowledge and information. So 2010, I went and sat under a tree and opened up the yellowing pages of his manuscript and sat under this tree, and I became very moved and emotional because I hadn't opened these things for 15 years and nobody else had. And had I not done it, as he said in his own notes, I'm the only one that knows this information that's been bestowed with this vital knowledge that's going to be radical and change mankind's previously confirmed theories by Kepler and Copernicus and all the Eurocentric scientists who were close but still not quite on point. So I said, I have to do this. So I did. I published the book, Library of Congress, ISBN number, totally out there. You Google it, lots of stuff is going to come up. I haven't made a penny, really. A couple of dollars here and there and a little fare here and there. That's not my focus. My focus is information, and at a very timely, very appropriate time. Now, Mother Nature is doing exactly what I would have loved to have done 4 years ago. Snowmageddon of 2009, I was writing this book. We had a couple of warm winters. That's like a woman in labor. It happens all the time. It's proven scientifically. It's been warmer than this in the past. I won't go into a science teaching class now, except my PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to get there with that. But anyway, as I said, I have to do this, and I'm intent on now giving nature and time its opportunity to prove that this is vital information that must be released. Whether I get it on television or whatever I get, I put it out there in 2010, and as a press release, was going to pay $1,000 to this company, and I won't name them. They blanked it. I was a heretic. How dare you go against the establishment and global warming, and thousands of scientists who have proven that the world has been warmer than this. Man's contributions are minuscule, are also blanked, blacklisted, whatever. Who am I? I'm little. Okay, IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, little girl from Trinidad whose father left her a diamond in the rough. They asked me to serve as a panel of the experts. I was like, great, I'd love to submit my information, so I did. I knew it was adverse to what they wanted to hear, but nobody said anything. In 2013, lo and behold, they asked me to serve again. I declined. And the many scientists who have been serving on that panel who declined, they won't take them off the list because it looks good to have these so-called scientists. And I'll tell you what, they look foolish because I'm not a scientist. And I was able to get on that panel. But because of the little information I have from my father, they allowed me to serve on the panel. But they are lying, and it is proven that the Earth has been warmer than this in the past, and that indeed cyclic climate change is repetitive. The reversals that we're going through now have happened before, but they have no way other than carbon dating and ice samples and so forth to know exactly in what intervals we can expect a hot spell, as in the time of the pre-biblical times, an ice age or an ice age, which was actually 12,000 years ago. So going back to the clock, the time clock, and I won't go into more detail about the book, but that is essentially the basic, the meat, the gist of it for my father's projections, that we are now at 6:30, moving anti-clockwise on the clock, moving towards 6 o'clock. That is an equivalent of 1,000 years, roughly 987 or so, based on every notch on the clock being, with my calculations, 2,058 years precisely. Then we're going to be in the Ice Age in full bloom, in full manifestation by 3,000. Luckily, all of us aren't going to be here, but it is my duty to make sure that mankind knows where they need to be, where they need to go. I don't know if they're going to make it to Mars. They're so foolish. Mars is a dead planet. They're trying to go to Mars.